phone right next to me so I could hear everything, but...
Oh, fine then. That's not important. Did you take off your headphones?
I had them on, but I wasn't paying attention, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, man, I'm 3 glasses of whiskey in. I ain't paying attention to shit right now.
That's his secret weapon.
I should play a drunken monk because it would work well for my character.
Pre-mixed pineapple margarita with fresh strawberries. Totally the way to go.
I'll take 6.
Jeez.
Wow,
Yeah,
girl.
Are you drinking again?
No, but
She's always drinking.
You could. Just saying.
Yeah, the baby's
I know.
drunk right now.
Worked for my son.
I learned today how much you're allowed to drink when you're still breastfeeding. So I was like, oh, I didn't know that. So I'm like, oh, that's exciting.
Yep. As long as you
like
have a
glass
certain amount of
wine
hours.
a day.
And effectively, as the party is traveling from the Longacre building back down Elm Street towards the Phoenix Feather Inn, during this time spent in the carriage, you can effectively complete a short rest, should you so choose.
Oh, I so choose.
Yes, please.
Can we use the short rest feeds?
That's
Yeah,
up to you. It was
that's-
only prevented in the spells because that wasn't effectively your...
It was a magical short rest.
It was a magical.
So Ryan, you said the short rest feats are 1 per party per short rest?
1 per short rest, yes. Because they're effectively meant to be once a week from the long rest,
All
the
right.
extended rest thing. So we're having to rework it a little bit. And Yannick,
So how many hit dice do I get to heal back on a short rest?
as many as you want.
You only get half back on a long rest.
You used all of mine, right?
Yeah.
I used 3 of yours, Nick.
Oh, I have one left. Oh,
You should have 1 left.
okay. No, I do. My sheet shows 1.
Yeah. So I used all but 1.
Yannick, while you're turning over this metal that the gentleman at the base of the stairs handed to you, in this time spent in the carriage, you start to attune to some of its properties
Woohoo!
and effectively know that this is what it's capable of.
Sweet.
But it's not long before this carriage pulls up in front of the Phoenix Feather Inn, and the large corpses of a number of direwolves still remain.
Below the heart.
But yeah, below the heart.
I want
used the
to
left column.
get those. Yeah, I'm gonna get the corpses and put them in my bag.
Phelan, your bag doesn't stretch wide enough to
Okay,
cram
well,
a large creature
I-
in.
Oh my god, she's going to chop them up.
No, I want to skin them and use their pelts for something.
You can certainly try.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and. I'm gonna bring them into the inn first. Like I'm
You
gonna
are
drag them in
not
because I don't want to make a
bringing
mess
those
all
in.
over everywhere.
You do your dirty work out here. You're not doing it inside. In the
I-
city guards
I
can be
will-
pissed enough as it is.
I
If
feel
you're
Drag 'em around the back.
we have. Don't worry, don't worry.
Phelan, just leave.
There's
them
also the
where they're
corpses
going.
of 3 horses out front of the Phoenix Feather Inn.
I don't want the horses.
Leave the bodies where they are. It helps tell the story. Stop messing with crime scenes.
Listen to-
But Bickerstaff, it's bad for business.
Is that
Do you think we're getting any business today?
I handed out a bunch of flyers
you handed out flyers? When did you have?
when we were
Right.
going through the mob.
Oh,
This will get cleaned up, but it's not going to get cleaned up right now. Let's go inside and rest.
and I cross my arms like a child being scorned and leave the wolves there. And...
Flowers, plants.
Oh yes, I have plans.
Bickerstaff, being the first one to step into the Phoenix Feather Inn, it still remains entirely devoid of furnishings.
Oh,
But there's a small sack resting on the front counter, and beside it, not too far away, is another gentleman pacing. This gentleman has a bright orange mustache and a bowl cut about just above the length of which just above his ears. And he looks to be looking about the inn and writing something down on a piece of parchment he has.
Biggerstaff will walk in and say, "Wait a minute, you're not the fellow that was here when we left."
Wait a minute, you're not the fellow who was here when I got here.
Hey, was that the elf fellow? That's who I left.
The one with the pointy ears?
Yes.
That's the one.
Well, very
Yeah, he
good.
said make sure you get this, he says, pointing over towards the pack.
Well, you're an honest gent. Thank you. Who are you?
Sorry, and he kind of wipes his hands off of his pants, and as he does so, he leaves a bit of a greasy stain across his thighs.
Oh.
Sorry, the name's Lee, as he reaches his hand out towards you.
Hey, nice to meet you, Lee.
Right, sorry, just to be certain, because I did have a bit of a lengthy discussion with that last gentleman, you are the owner of this establishment
Yes.
this time, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I have a number of questions for you to start off with, and hopefully we can be of some assistance to one another.
Okay.
You see, I'm a dear, dear friend of the MistHaven God, and I believe I have exactly what you're looking for.
Oh, are
You
you
see,
the
friend.
carpenter that Cassandra said she would send?
I mean, that's such a small term for what I do. I'll tell you what. Here, I have a bit of a brochure, if you wouldn't mind looking over it. As he starts filling through some of the parchments that he was writing on, and he hands over this stack of papers towards Bickerstaff.
Yes. I had been kind of thinking about what we need to get this really off the ground. We're definitely going to need things like, furniture and other kind of things like that, and cloth and things for the kitchen and all sorts of other things.
Right, if you're thinking small scale, I suppose that would be a good start, but that's not exactly what I do. You see, I'm the kind of
As it goes
individual
into the restroom.
to make things happen. Tell me what you want. I provide a brief outline of what I've provided, the various services I've provided for individuals in the past, and judging by the size of this establishment, at the very least I can get started on one of these improvements, paid for courtesy of the MistHaven Guard.
Oh, you're a contractor. Oh, I see.
Another small word for what I do.
I want to snatch the flyer out of Bickerstaff's hand and look at the pictures.
All right, so if you those looking over these documents,
Yeah, I'll be next to Bickerstaff looking.
and there's a construction permit for expansions or additions to the Phoenix Feather Inn.
We could
Druidic
get a
grove.
stable for the cows. I hope they're
Cows are
not dead.
gone. The cows are gone.
Cows are
I
dead.
remind you that this is going to take some time to construct, and it is a very expensive endeavor, but the first expansion, at the very least, has been paid for by the city guard. Should you wish to add anything additional, judging by some of the markings and measurements I've taken myself, I do believe we could qualify for a total of 2 expansions.
We can get a bigger bar.
Laboratory.
Guys, we could get a bigger bar. That'd be really useful for businesses. Cookie, we can expand your kitchen. Get a little lookout window so we don't have to go back to the room. We can get a little window so you can just pass through food. Oh, I'm very
I would
excited.
like that.
Does this mean we get
I'm
to
all
play?
in for making this a more hospitable environment for our guests.
Yes. It's all about those guests, isn't it?
Have we decided that this is actually going to be an inn or just a restaurant?
Let's focus on the restaurant part of it first, and maybe we can expand it into an inn.
Then we definitely need to change the sign.
Just don't worry about it, Phelan. For right now, nobody's going to want to stay here, well, except for this fellow. Bickerstaff's going to go over and check the bag.
Bickerstaff, you open up the bag. Go ahead and roll me a nature check as there looked to be a small bundle of some sort of substance in here.
9.
9.
It's almost a midnight blue, about the size of blueberries, but slightly
Never.
larger.
Zephyr, come here.
Oh, coming. I'll go over and take a look as well.
Zephyr,
Yes.
you immediately recognize these as dreamberries.
As dreamberries. Oh. Oh, hello.
Oh no! Didn't I let you out of the cloak in the cab? Wasn't that
He
the
kicked
plan?
you out there.
That wasn't the plan, but Garrett's still in there, darn it. He's stuck away from it.
I wasn't here to accept your offer, so fill the cloak.
Zephyr, as I see Garrett climbing out of the back of
Nope,
Zephyr's.
still in there. Not climbing out.
He lives there now.
I'll give a couple taps on the backpack and say, Garrett, it's fine to come out now. And I'll look into the bag and say, oh, these are dreamberries. Bickerstaff, do you remember when you found me in my room the other day?
Oh yes, when you were tripping.
Yes, I believe the term is tripping balls. Yes,
Have ball.
these are
Oh.
those types of berries. They put you into a sort of hallucinatory trance, which, if you have the right mind, can reveal some deeply laden information.
Are you telling me that the elf that stayed here was a drug dealer?
No, these are a druidic berry.
A druidic drug dealer?
Hey, have you said nay against any of my food I've created for you?
None of them have really made me lose my mind, but I guess not.
Well, then I'm not trying hard
High
enough.
on it.
So it's a whole satchel of dreamberries?
It's about 6 of the berries.
6 dreamberries? Okay.
Oh, I thought it was like a whole bag.
Yeah, okay.
That's-
We're gonna party.
I take back my pie comment.
Let's make a
small pie.
dreamberry pie. We can make tarts. Dreamberry tarts.
Lucas, you can't say that.
Zephyr will take those and say, if we don't have use for them, then I'll find a use for them.
Well, it sounds quite fascinating. I'll take one.
Yeah, your elven friend said something about how they didn't appreciate the peeping toms and the foolhardiness that was going on in this place. That it could definitely use something, perhaps to start, something to sit on. But he did say that the entertainment was like nothing he's ever experienced before.
We are very entertaining.
We
you hear
need
that?
to do a murder mystery theater dinner every night.
Oh, that could be so much fun. We could put the stage right over here.
What? I'm not doing that.
What?
Bickerstaff, you grumpy old man.
You are going to make me be the victim. I know it.
Well, I could certainly do my best to work with these walls to help transform this place into more of a theater, if that's what you're
Do
looking
not
for.
indulge these two.
Well, perhaps more of a public house then?
I leave all of the expansion ideas and responsibilities to Bickerstaff.
But I want to pick out some furniture pieces.
Done.
Yana
Oh,
keeps
good.
going back and forth, drawing water.
We could do that. We got a second floor. We can make it a second floor of Ill Repute. We'll put a little gate that says, you must be this age to enter.
Oh, what are we going to be doing upstairs?
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
you don't brothel.
Heyo.
Provide 0 judgment in addition to my services.
Well, in that case, I have a few improvements on the dungeon. I'm kidding.
Well, the dungeon? Ooh, you know what, Bickerstaff? I think you're onto something here because those last prisoners that
Phelan?
really use a secure location.
I could help to transform that cellar you have to provide holding cells.
Hey, look at that.
That's my room.
That's my room.
I think
No, not the room at the back. but the cellar just before it.
Oh, that might be nice. Anyway, are you hungry, good sir?
Not particularly, no. Why
Alright,
do you
good.
ask?
We did
I
miss
am the head chef of this establishment, and I was just getting ready to prepare lunch.
You really don't want to miss out on Cookie's food. She's very exquisite.
All right. I wouldn't want to be rude.
Oh, then you accept. Phelan, I'm gonna
Absolutely.
need your assistance, please.
Me? You're gonna need my help?
You have steady hands.
Oh, you're so right. I do. I will be right there.
With the existing structure, could you kind of give us just a renovation with one of your inn designs?
Absolutely.
And that would include, like, this area.
All of the furnishings, the tables, chairs, some paintings and artwork to help spruce the place up a bit, of course. Fresh coat of paint. Repairs to the sign out front.
I think that sounds like a great place for us to start.
Very well then.
Sign should say Order of the Phoenix.
The sign should say F the Phoenix Feather Inn. Don't listen to him. He's had a rough day.
All right.
What about Phelan or Zephyr will say, what about House of the Phoenix? That way it can be interpreted for many different business types.
Well,
I heard a few tales about gentlemen going to a place of a house of the rising sun.
It's a good place.
we'll workshop the name. I think this is going to be our plan to start out with.
All right then. I can get those. I can get a few workshops drawn up. In the meantime, as I said, it'll take some time for the construction to happen, but should be ready to go in about 2 weeks' time, give or take.
Perfect.
Ryan, what would be the
Enjoy your meal. Biggerstaff's gonna go into the back and get Garrett off his back.
Carrot snuck out already.
Oh, never mind. Biggerstaff's gonna sit in the only chair that
His
is
chair.
left in this place, and he's gonna go to sleep.
Ryan, what's the season? What are we, like spring? Are we
Summer.
summer? Ooh, okay.
Very much.
Turmeric.
Mm-hmm.
Time.
No one uses time.
Paprika?
Oh yes.
That's what I was like. Wait, what do you mean season? Like, what are we making? I guess it depends.
That's where I thought the question was going. I'm like, I don't know what you'd season dreamberries with. That's up to you.
No. I don't want to make a stew if it's hot.
Cookie, what are we making? You've never asked for my help before, except for watering the plants, which I'm like gonna be doing as I'm asking you. Like, what? This is so exciting.
I'll start directing her to start cutting up some
Onions.
Yes, some onions.
I will cut up the onions. I have this really cool thing where they actually don't make me cry. I'm one of the lucky in the world.
Is that where you chew on a piece of copper?
You know what? We'll go with it. Yeah, that sounds good. I like that. You knew my secret.
It's a trade secret. It's something we all know.
You grab a piece of copper and chew on it. It's new.
Okay, so you guys do what you gotta do. I'm looking for a recipe.
While Phelan's chewing copper, Garrett's pulling Dodger to the side. Yes,
We're having a private conversation.
Yes, Garrett.
Nope. Very private conversation.
And
Oh,
keep your voice
headphones
down.
off conversation.
Oh,
That's
No.
a bit. That's
Basically, I don't know what I'm going to ask her yet, but I need to think of the questions.
okay.
I have questions for her. She can come cook with us.
So while that conversation is happening in the corner, and Bickerstaff is providing some input on the plans of the renovations to happen until it is in to get it properly functioning and workable. Back up to speed. What's Yannick doing?
Yannick has made his bath. He's currently soaking in it. He's got his hands cupped, squirting, water up. Just
Yannick's playing in the bath.
just totally
Little
chillaxing,
duckies.
taking his little his short rest.
I need to buy him a rubber duck.
Yes,
He's always in the bathroom.
Yannick loves his bath.
So, Zephyr and Phelan.
Sorry, one
Oh.
more thing.
Go ahead.
He has that little brooch in his hand, and he's going to attune to it.
All right. You turn the metal over in your hand a couple of times. Unsure of what it might have originally been rewarded for, but having received it, you pin it to your uniform, and when you're done with your bath, should be good to go.
Sweet.
Did he take a bath in his uniform?
Uniform on the side. As he stripped down, he pinned it onto his uniform, got in the bath, and was just kind of watching it as he was playing in the tub.
Double duty. I'm washing my clothes and bathing myself at the same time.
He's really good at watching things.
Steph, I got all the onions cut up for you. I diced them, so if you need them in slices, I've ruined the meal. I'm sorry.
No, diced is absolutely perfect. And can you dice up some garlic for me? And I'll put a couple cloves of garlic next to her. And I'll start preparing ground sausage that I have from one of the pigs.
All right.
Not the human sausage.
You wrote this thing.
Saving that for later.
Long thing.
Saving that for later. I'll feed that to terrible customers. The ones that send food back.
Put
Oh,
that
I'll
one in.
fix your steak. So we prepare that, and it's about 20 or 30 minutes to cook. And then we get all the spices together, and I bring out a plate of stuffed lushrooms. These are a favorite dish of the ancient Mogu. This recipe is a staple of Eastern cuisine, packed with flavors and textures that vie for dominance with one another. These tender, bite-sized morsels make for an easy but impressive appetizer. They got a very earthy tone. There's some sesame oil in there. There's some ginger, some garlic, some onions, so it's got a little bit of spice, as well as some heartiness from the pork, ground pork stuffed mushrooms.
Cookie, watching you cook is magical.
And you said you're preparing these with the dream shroom? The dream berries?
No, I'm not going to
No,
trip
okay.
everyone. No, those are for
Just
my
wanted to double check.
private use later.
That's for dessert.
That's, yeah.
He has a doctor's note for it.
I got a doctor's note. I got a card.
That's the cobbler.
That's the, yeah, that'll be trippy tea at midnight.
But it's not too long before the conversation between Bickerstaff and Lee kind of concludes. He gets a general idea of what you guys are going for with this place. And he bids himself farewell, saying goodbye to each of you as he does so. And he makes his way out from the inn.
Oh,
Did he eat?
he wasn't hungry.
Ah. But he
It
said he
does
wanted to
smell
eat.
lovely, though. But I would hate to upset my wife by telling her I'd already eaten supper before I get home.
Oh, I see.
As lovely as it does smell, I fear her significantly more.
Yes,
I
good point.
understand that completely.
Salutations, and I do look forward to doing business with you all.
Have a wonderful evening, day, evening, rest of your time.
So I bring
Yeah,
over a
I like
couple
how
of
we
these
had
to.
that whole conversation with like half of us covered in blood and stuff.
Oh, I mean, Phelan could use prestidigitation to just wipe everyone clean. No problem, all in the carriage.
I washed my hands
I
before I
definitely
cooked.
would have, because I don't like messes. So if we were really
Never
dirty
have
and
it
bloody
be
or
on
whatever, she would have cleaned that up real quick.
I mean, Garrett and Zephyr definitely are.
Yeah, no, not anymore. They're not. Unless, probably Garrett still is because he's a little sneak and I probably didn't even find him to clean him. But if I see him, I'll do it.
As the camera pans over towards the corner where Garrett has pulled Dodger. Yes, Garrett, what is it?
Why does he have your sister?
Because she took the blame for a crime that I committed some years ago. And he told me that when we were set upon Longacre, he assured me that we could free her while we were there. That was the only reason why I was stuck around him for so long.
You mean to say that he rescued her from that prison?
We rescued her. I pulled her out of her cell myself to ensure that it was done, but he did provide me with the opportunity to do so.
And then
tell you
he left you.
And he took her. And for that very reason, I fear that the longer that we stay away, the more I fear for her life. I don't know what he's going to do once he finds out that they walked away.
He left you to die. You know that.
He left me to die because of the information that I gave you, Garrett.
He always rids himself of those who get too old in his service. You know that.
He's smart, I also know that. And he keeps insurance upon those that he does dealings with. Now, when you and yours were going through his fishery, did you find his personal stash? It was a black footlocker about so big. It was in his room in the underfloor.
Out of character, did we find it?
You did?
Yes,
That was
we
the
did.
one that the woman with all the acid vials was going for when the shark attacked.
Right. Yes, we did find it.
Well, I know that within there he kept a brooch from his financial backer, the means that he has for paying for all of this that's going on. And he kept it as insurance in case of a double cross. I can only imagine what he's got on me, other than my sister now, what he might have on each of you.
I have little doubt what he has on me. Years working for him is more than enough. But what is he trying to do?
I know that he needed Darius to do it. That all the other alchemists that he tried to work with failed again and again. I know they're trying to make something incredibly volatile. I can only imagine some sort of explosive, alchemical in nature.
What then?
I'm afraid I don't know his endgame. But I do know where they should be now.
Where? Where can we find him?
The pump
Where
station.
can I lay my hands upon him and choke the life from him?
Well, if you and your friends are ready, I can take you there. The quicker the better.
I'm not entirely sure that we are ready. I know I am still trying to recover from the wounds.
Could you
Yourself
talk
do
to
not
them?
look entirely healed.
Of course not.
But yes, I will speak to them.
I have no idea what might be waiting for us there, but he's certainly expecting some sort of a fight. He's ready, at the very least, know that. And warn them he is still ruthless, not to take his age for granted. He's dastardly, if anything else. As dastardly as he is clever. And that makes him dangerous.
is vile and evil. He is dangerous, I give you that. Anyway, I shall speak to them. We
Thank
shall
you.
move out as soon as we can. And, Dodger, I know it's been some years, but it's good to be on the same side with you again.
Thanks for talking your friends down. We both know I wouldn't have survived down there, if not for you.
And many a time I wouldn't have survived if not for you.
I believe I'm still one up on you then.
Well, today does count for something.
For something, yes, and I'll mark it off of your debt. But the future may hold a point in time where I might still need your assistance.
Understood.
At the very least, I won't let your debt go unpaid. Know that.
I am well aware. You always collect.
Always.
Now I'll leave her and go back and find. Well, Bickerstaff went to sleep, didn't he?
Oh yeah, as soon as the contractor guy left, he sat in his chair and he was knocked out.
He's an old man.
Okay, I'll go find Cookie.
I bring food out. So
I help
I
him
am out in the lobby.
That's how excited I am.
Here's some food for you and Dodger.
Zephyr, I need to speak with you.
Oh, yes, please.
Don't
Is
want
it private?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
I just don't want to wake Bickerstaff. I know he needs his rest. But we can't spend very long here. Corbin Reed is a dangerous foe. And whatever it is that he has in mind, I guarantee you he is not waiting. He is actively pursuing his goals. And if we do not act quickly, we may all suffer for giving him time to prepare. Whatever we need to do, however we need to ready ourselves, we must do it quickly.
I understand what you're saying completely, Garrett, but before we found you in the prison, we were attacked heavily by his men, and our resources are very low.
Speaking of which, did you actually come to the prison looking for me? Because I get the distinct impression that you were there on some other mission.
We were there to find Reed. And to be quite frank, Garrett, you've slipped from our sight so often that we assume that you weren't caught, that you fled and you are in hiding. We have been in talks with many of the guard and the captain of the guard, and no one made any mention of you being captured.
I mean, it's not like we really asked either, but we just assumed the best for you, really. We didn't know you were rotting in jail. I mean, you're pretty quick on your feet. I mean, who knew that someone could actually catch you?
Well, as I said, Corbin Reed is dangerous. And he does... Well, he hasn't survived this long by luck. Let me put it that way.
Agreed. But to your point, Garrett, we are all spent. We need at least a good rest, a good long rest to get ourselves back in fighting shape. Do we have that kind of time?
Well, we must take whatever time is required. Just know the longer we delay, the more dangerous Corbin Reed is becoming.
I understand.
While we're sitting here all together as a nice little family,
baby
I'm gonna look at Bren, silly Bren, you're okay.
He missed us. I'm gonna look to Dodger as I'm like taking a bite out of this lovely morsel. So good.
Saying that aloud as you do.
It's so good. Oh my god.
Okay.
Cookie, you are the best chef I know. I'm so glad I met you.
I do what I can.
Dodger, anyways. You really gotta try this. But while you're eating, something to, think on while you chew. I couldn't help but notice in the carriage
Just out
ride
of curiosity, is Phelan like Yiddish now? Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
That's cool, man. She's been gone a long time. A lot of things have happened to her, okay?
She's turned into Mushi.
No, I haven't.
I thought she turned into like Mike Myers from Saturday Night Live when he talks about how everything's butter.
But
She is a delight to be around.
I don't deny that.
Anyways, Dodger, while you're eating something to chew over, gosh, Garrett, eat your food. Shit. This memory of mine is gone to shit. In the carriage ride, Dodger, I couldn't help but notice, I can definitely relate with your sister and all, as Corbin has taken someone very precious to me as well. But I couldn't help but notice there might be something else lingering in the back of your mind that you're not quite telling us up front. And I do like to go into situations fully aware of things. So, I'm really glad you're here to help us, and I know you have your own selfish means, as we all do, but if there's any information you may be holding back out of all the years you spent under Corbin Reed, I would really appreciate it if you would maybe let that out now, so we kind of know what we're in for, perhaps.
Well, good to see that you trust me about as much as I trust you, then.
Yeah,
If you think I'm hiding something, perhaps you can start by telling me what you already know.
Well, I'm gonna insight check her one more time, just trying to see if she's just trying to get information, or if she's like, I don't know, really trying to just trust us.
All right.
Or she's just trying to get our information.
I was going to tell you, trust is not real high on her list of things.
At this time, Yannick comes out of the
I blab a
bathroom
lot,
all
so
clean and shiny.
I have to try this morsel. He's a delight cook. I love it. It's just wonderful.
yeah. Zephyr will get off the table, or we're not sitting anywhere because there's
You've
no
been
one
on
to
the table?
sit. So
we don't have
No
to
table.
sit.
no
bar.
table. Well, we have a bar.
Counter.
We have a
Yeah.
bar. I would have put the plate on the bar, but I'll take a small plate over to Yannick and excuse myself from this conversation.
Thank you, Zephyr. So you're Garrett, that I've heard about.
I guess you're talking to me. Yeah,
One
yes,
second,
yes I am.
Jason.
Cassandra placed me with this group, and they've been very helpful in taking me in, as I was to overwatch and assist, and I'll be glad to be with y'all. It's a good group. There's some things I question sometimes or time, but they all seem to be good.
Well, I'm glad you find them so. I wouldn't necessarily make that mistake with me.
Yes, I saw that in the cell below, where you let the brood out. What were you thinking? Just a distraction, or did you have something there?
I'll do whatever it takes to find and kill Corbin Reed. And I've spent enough time in jail cells to know that they're no fun. Man shouldn't have to stay in them any longer than necessary.
How did you get down there to begin with? What was your crime?
Well, the reason I was in that cell was no crime I committed. After one of our previous encounters with Corbin and his henchmen, one of them went to the authorities and claimed that I had been responsible for a murder. I'm not saying my hands are clean, but I had certainly not committed the crime they accused me of.
I guarantee you, nobody's hands are clean in this. But as long as the thought was true, then I can live with that.
Let's just say Corbin was using his knowledge of me, trying to eliminate someone who was out to get him. So I am not unknown to the City Watch. And while I've never been actually caught in the commission of a crime and have been, well, let's just say I know the right sorts of people to talk to when things go wrong. They knew where to find me. That's how I ended up in that cell.
I have a position with the guard. And as long as your path is true, I'll assist. I have bent the law to gain the righteous path. Sometimes I believe that's what's needed. And there's no way we'll be able to get Corbin Reed without doing so.
I don't claim any sort of righteousness. But
You believe in right and wrong, right?
I believe in the safety for myself and the people I trust. There's little else this world has to offer. I grew up on the streets in this city. I know what it's like.
That's how you met Dodger, isn't it, Garrett? You two grew up together somehow.
Yes, we were both part of Corbin Reed's little band of pickpockets.
I remember you mentioning something like that, but I couldn't remember completely.
Yeah, it took me years to realize that Corbin had not been the one to save me, as he so often told me.
What made you realize that he was actually a crook?
Oh, there's never a question of him being a crook. He set me to stealing for him. I knew exactly what he was.
Well, that's a valid point.
But he always claimed that he had saved me from an even worse fate on the streets. But Corbin has never liked those who question his authority. And I saw a few too many of the kids that I grew up with, the older ones, the ones that I trusted to some extent, casually disposed of whenever they've got to be a little too independent. That's when I learned what Corbin Reed truly was.
Seems very sad.
Well, sad or not, Corbin Reed has done more than any man I know of to deserve a swift, well, perhaps not swift, but certainly a brutal end.
The more brutal, the better, I say. I mean, if he has a swift death, I may be disappointed, to be honest with you.
If he has a swift death, he can't get away.
You have a point there, Cookie. Unfortunately. But I would just love to see him suffer for all the wrongful things he's done in his life.
I don't know that any of us would live that long.
Either way, our charge is set clear. Cassandra said it. Dead or alive. He comes to justice.
Much rather him dead. There's no chance of him wheedling himself out of it.
Is Ryan back?
Yes.
Yes.
Would I know who this Cassandra person he keeps talking about is?
She's the field marshal of the MistHaven Guard. She's the head honcho for the city guard.
My boss.
Let's see. Let me make a... What would that even be?
She's the woman the party went to go talk to the first night they went to the Citadel, where Garrett stayed outside.
Yep. I don't know her. I
You
never
know
paid
of
attention to
her,
who was...
not her.
No,
Not
I
of
never,
her.
I never paid any attention to who was running the guards.
You just knew to stay away from him.
Yeah, I wanted nothing to do with them.
Were you peeking out of Bickerstaff's pack while we were talking?
Oh, we actually talked to her?
Oh,
yeah, she was the
Garrett,
one right
and-
before we left the court.
Garrett stayed outside every time the party went into the Citadel, into the guard's base.
Right, but we
Yeah,
met with her
I
right
would-
before we left the
You mean
court.
the court building.
For that, yeah.
Yeah, were you keeping an eye out? I assume you would.
Well,
but
I certainly would have been trying to hide, but my ears would have been open.
then you would have heard us speaking to her.
Okay, never mind. In that case, I at least have some concept of who this person is.
She is a real person.
Okay, well, glad we've established that.
4 hours for an elf. Have I taken a long rest?
But
I don't think we've been here
Dodger,
for 4 hours yet.
Damn it.
Dodger, to answer your question, let me stand to further help me speak. 1 second.
Dodger starts pouting in the corner.
You asked what we have found out so far, and I know it takes trust to earn trust, so I'm going to put my better foot forward and go against what I normally say. But you know what? We're turning over a new leaf here. We're opening an inn together. This should be fun. So what we know so far is Corbin is running some sort of underground drug trafficking type shenanigans. We, as you know, we took down his establishment at the fishery, where we found his first original drugs. And then his second establishment that we took down was some sort of alchemy lab with some sort of musical hallway to get into.
If I can interrupt, I do believe that when you destroyed his alchemical setup at the old fishery, that as far as I know, that was the last place that he was brewing his drugs for the sake of brewing them. Once he got his financial backer, I don't believe he had much use for the income that the drugs were providing, and he instead invested those resources entirely onto deciphering the alchemical recipes that he had obtained from Darius.
So he didn't have an alchemical lab near Maple Street?
I'm certain that he did, but I know their main focus was no longer towards brewing drugs, at the very least.
Okay, well, at this alchemical lab, I did find a Iron Maiden, and in the Iron Maiden was a secret door, and through that secret door was skeletons roaming
I don't
about
doubt
the
it.
sewers.
He always has a way out.
With skeletons, though. I mean, that's normal.
Are you familiar with the game Dragon Chess?
I am not.
How about checkers?
Yes, checkers.
He's the kind of individual that might make a poor play, but is 7 or 8 moves ahead of you at every step of the way.
Oh dear. Never been
He
good at those.
thoroughly thinks out his strategies. He's wise because of his years, if anything. There's a reason he's survived this long in the city.
So, how exactly
I
does
wouldn't
he?
suggest laughing at him.
You say that you spotted skeletons past this Iron Maiden exit.
Yes.
Did you hear any footsteps nearby? Perhaps you had just missed him.
No, I don't believe I heard. They were very docile. They didn't, I mean, if he were to walk past them, wouldn't they have noticed him? I mean, these
Not if
skeletons.
he's the reason for them being there. He did have a number of scrolls written up, as I'm sure you experienced more than a few of the undead in Longacre.
Yes. So he just has a way to control the dead. That's very interesting.
It's more that he can raise a corpse as an undead, and they remain docile until they're given a command.
Wait.
Hmm.
Is
I do believe I know of that spell you may be speaking of. I've been studying it
Reed a
myself.
necromancer?
I'm afraid he's nothing of the sort. And I do believe that having expelled the dead that you did, he should be out of those scrolls by now. And it was you who took out the alchemical laboratory nearby the academy.
Yes, that was indeed us.
Well, that was his source for those scrolls.
We never really got to figure out exactly what was going on inside of them. Therefore, there was a fire and explosion, and
He
things
He
got
was
really-
working with another alchemist who dabbled a bit in necromancy. She had fiery red hair, often wore goggles, and favored brass contraptions.
I think Bickerstaff described something like that. I never got to meet her though. I think she was trapped down there for the explosion as well.
There was, from what I can understand, there was a work arrangement of some sort. He was able to provide her with his previous drug trade, and in doing so, she was able to accumulate coin at a significantly greater pace. And in return, she offered her services both in providing the scroll work as well as providing the alchemical experience to try and decipher the recipes left behind by Darius. As far as I know, however, she was not successful.
And you gave us the location for Sanji to rescue him. But before that, he attempted to make a deal with us to break into the bank and steal from the deposit box. Do you know what he was after there?
Purely a distraction for today.
We were just supposed to be a distraction completely.
It would have been a very well-armed distraction that would have taken the gods some time to deal with, which is precisely also why he was attempting to blackmail the Thieves Guild. At the very least, the Veil wouldn't want to be captured alive and would have put up a hell of a fight in their efforts to escape from the god, possibly drawing them away even further from the location. But at the very least, the bank was just a distraction.
So now that he has this gnome he's been after, do you think he's going to attempt something at the Queen's coronation if he can get everything figured out?
To tell you the truth, I have no idea. I was entirely devoted to his plans up until Longacre, but I don't know what his endgame is. I could only assume the most sinister plan is what he has in mind, but I also know he's more clever than that. I don't know if he's going for the greatest toll of bodies to stir chaos in the city, or he'll be precise, attempting to take out specific individuals within the city. But if Darius finishes, he will have the capability of doing so.
And we did come across a notebook of sorts, I believe at the fishery. We have an associate of ours trying to decipher it for us. Are these the same alchemical?
About yay big, really thin margins, leather front.
I think so, DM.
You got his ledger.
We got a book with a lot of gibberish. I could only make out a word here and there in several different languages.
Well, I can assure you he certainly wasn't expecting that then. He thought it went down with the old fishery. At the very least, it has a great deal of his drug exchanges, as well as a few lists of his hideouts inside of that. That is a very important piece of information. Do not lose that.
And I kind of nod like, yeah, we should probably go check that out again. As I said, we have a associate trying to decipher it for us on common ground. It's amazing how many people you'll find wanting Corbin Reed's head. So, but I think that just about sums up it. Oh no, there's one more thing. You didn't mention this to me, so I can't say it that way. There was an item we found in the fishery, along with his ledger, that was a very great value. It was a sort of trinket of sorts. You may know what I'm speaking of.
Phelan, roll me a persuasion check.
That was a natural one.
She visibly kind of
Persuasive as always.
shies away a bit. I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, it has, you know, the imp and the house drake, you know, yin yang like pattern on it. And it's something you would pin to your clothes if you're of a very.
Can I see it?
We don't have it anymore.
Oh, but
I could draw it for you. I'm a terrible artist, but I could try.
sure, if you think it'll help.
Well, okay. Well, he'll just lay all the cards on the table since that's what we're doing, you know. It was the Queen's brooch.
What was he doing with the Queen's brooch?
That's what I was hoping you might be able to tell me. I'm just curious how it got into his hands. I mean, that's a very valuable item that you don't really want in the wrong hands. And it was in his hands, and just trying to figure out how he got it. Can I look at her, see if she's actually confused or she's
Roll me
faking
an
it?
insight check.
How's in 10?
Oh, well, a 10.
Woohoo.
Hard to read.
Hard to read. You're very hard to read, Dodger, as I munch into another meat pie thing.
What?
Yeah, stuffed mushroom.
I don't know what we're eating. Something with pork.
Yannick is like very curious. Can he insight or assist?
Absolutely. But in the future, any assistance or co-rolling should be announced before the roll's made.
Right, now it's kind of, yeah, I'm sorry.
But go ahead. Insight check.
17 plus nothing, so 17.
17.
You get a whisper.
Wee.
Oh, I do have another question.
1 second.
You always have another question.
I always have questions. I'm great with questions.
I
Yeah,
will say, I mean, Amanda, I mean this in all seriousness. Your questioning ability and tactics have vastly improved since, say, the Mines of Fandelver.
things have changed.
And some have not.
I'm a mother now, Ben.
Yeah, she
Properly.
trusts everybody and lets them free. So there's that.
Mommy lies. Mommy lies.
Yes, you had another question?
Fuck, what was it? Okay.
Some things never change.
Where's the last line of Fandelver? Where is it?
Why did you mention that? The drugs. Okay. So, I was caught by the not the Queen's Guard, but the guards with a hefty amount of drugs on my body. They were all, correct me if I'm wrong, like 8 of the vials were green and one of them was yellow, or vice versa. I know they were green and yellow.
A lot of yellow, one green.
Okay. A lot of them were yellow, and then one was green. And when I dropped them and spilt them and they shattered, when the green one touched all the yellows, they vanished. Is there something like that, like a vanishing potion?
That was one of his experiments, one of the alchemical setups towards Darius's recipe. You should consider yourself fortunate that you made no contact with it.
Well, it all vanished on the ground, like there was nothing to touch or make contact
Precisely
with.
why you should thank the 3 above.
Yes, I just wasn't. Okay. Well, that's good to know. I've been curious about that for a long time. I've been researching his ingredients that he has, with the dream spiders. I've noticed that he had a lot of those around. I've had an associate of mine look into maybe trying to recreate some things. Intimidation. Yonic, you don't need to scare us.
Yonic punches himself in the face. Tell me what I'm after!
That is so bad.
Well, that's why you should announce what you're trying to do before just rolling randomly.
Well, alright, I'll throw it out there anyway, just because. Why did you flinch at the mention of the brooch?
I don't know, perhaps it has something to do with the fact that you were trying to kill me less than an hour ago.
Can I insight check her to see if she's actually, like, defensive or if she actually knew more about the brooch than she's saying?
Sure. Roll me an insight. Failed.
Come on. Natural 20.
Natural 20!
Now that Yannick's pointing it out, she does seem to be hiding about the brooch. She knows. She was feigning surprise at the original mention of the brooch.
She's such a feigner.
Oh, you feigner.
Dirty feigner.
So, Dodger, since we're going to be working together at least temporarily, is there anything we need to know about your sister that we should be wary of? I know that he has her. She going to fight for him, so we have to try and subdue her, or do we know?
The last time that I saw my sister was about 6 years ago.
Oh, jeez. That's a long
I'm afraid
time
I couldn't tell you what she's capable of, but I could only imagine that Corbin has some means of blackmailing her into his service.
Did she have any kind of position with the government?
No, we were children. Government doesn't take too kindly to hiring 9-year-olds.
What was the crime that she said she did? That you did?
And her eyes just kind of drift down towards your feet, Phelan.
I want to put my hand out and put my hand on top of hers in a really comforting way.
Roll me a persuasion check with advantage.
At this point, I'm going to say, Phelan, some things we don't really enjoy talking about.
12. Oh, don't worry, Garrett. I kind of dig into everyone's deepest, darkest things. I'm a nosy body.
It was a moment of weakness that happened far off in the past, and no good will come from dwelling upon it. Enough people have suffered and repented for what happened.
Okay, so I have another question. It's a little bit dwelling on the past, but it's a personal matter I'd like to ask you about.
And her eyes slowly make their way back up towards your face.
Quite some time ago. You must have been much younger then. You probably were, well, you're still under the care of Corbin Reed. Maybe you too, Garrett. Dear loved one of mine was murdered by the hands of Corbin. His name was Alaris Suraf. If maybe you know anything having to do with him.
Sorry, but the name doesn't ring a bell.
He was an
Is there
elf.
any sort of like history or anything to see if I would know?
Go ahead and roll me a history check, Garrett.
Nope. I don't really keep up with anything except, me.
And Reed didn't really give you guys names of any targets that you might have gone after. Just kind of, this is what they look like. They'll be here at this time when anything needs to happen. Usually it was just pickpocketing kind of stuff.
Is this what I was best at?
I want to insight check her. Not yet, but after I ask this next question.
Okay.
You may not recognize his name, but I'm going to describe him and what he did, and maybe there'll be a reason.
Clever use of the GM's words against him.
But
how long ago did you say this was?
He was an elf. He was slightly taller than I am, white hair, icy blue eyes, very pale skin. He worked at the Seraph Manor mortuary, and he was working on some experiments of his own, which is how I actually got involved in these experiments. But perhaps his work with the dead was something Corbin may have been interested in, seeing that he has skeletons and zombies.
Tell me more about these experiments he was conducting.
Well, he started them originally. He was trying to find ways to. He had a good heart, and I kind of twisted his work in a way after my sorrows. But he was trying to find a way to help the guard with maybe being able to speak to victims and giving them closure after death. If they had horrible deaths or whatever, he was trying to find a way that he could speak with their spirit or body or mind, whatever was left, and maybe give them a peaceful resting instead of, a torturous eternity. Figure out the wrongdoings, maybe find the persecutors who was after them. And so he was trying to find a way to speak with the dead, have a better understanding of it. So perhaps when he refused Corbin's twist on it, to use them, to murder prisoners type scenario, maybe he decided to have him murdered instead.
And how long ago was he taken from you?
This is something I've yet to decide, DM. I don't think I decided on the time. But
Well, it sounds like now's the time to set it in stone.
It's been several years.
Ryan. Put it on the gravestone.
I've been thinking about that because it's hard because I don't know how old Corbin is, but I'm an elf, so I live for hundreds of years. And so I know we've been together for a long time before all this. And so that's why when he was murdered, it took such a hard toll on her. So, but then she's also had time to kind of get over it and kind of create herself over again. So, but I don't know how.
Corbin looks to be in his 60s.
Yeah, Corbin is old.
Early 70s.
Okay, so how old does Dodger look? They're youngerish.
He looks about 18 to 20.
Okay, well, I was going to say probably 20 years, so she may have definitely not been part of it, but maybe she heard of it.
It was her! She was a baby!
She was a baby. So we'll say, let's give it a random number.
Random like you're rolling dice for it?
Roll your d20.
Roll your
Perfect.
d20 and see how many
Oh my
years he's
God.
been dead.
Yesterday.
16 years. She was
16
4.
years.
She murdered when she was 4.
She could have. I mean, she hasn't seen her sister in 6 years, so it could have. She was 9 at the time of being with Corbin, so 9 when.
Well, children of the corn, totally possible.
I'm afraid that might have been before my time even, but given what you described, I could certainly understand why a man like Corbin would pursue a man like your husband. If he was successful in his endeavors, it could mean the very end of Corbin Reed's crime spree.
Yes, he was getting very close when he was murdered, and luckily I had a dear friend of mine, Daldrick, who helped me out of my darkness, and working on his experiments helped me feel close to him once again. And so I started to try and help with his experiments, but his science was so far beyond my comprehension that we had to take quite a few steps back to really start to grasp his concepts all over again. And we're really back to page 1, unfortunately, which is how I met Bickerstaff. And I'm going to point over to Bickerstaff sleeping in the corner. I was attempting some experiments on one of his loved ones, and that went terribly wrong. But luckily, Bickerstaff is very understanding and is still stuck around me. It's been quite a journey, Dodger. Quite a journey. Do we have any wine in this place? I think I need a drink.
I'm just going to look at Dodger and say, yes, she does always talk this much.
I think I could use a drink.
Oh.
It's not every day you almost die.
I will drink to that.
But as you say, since we will be working together, perhaps there are a few points of interest I can provide as well.
I would be happy to hear any information you have.
Well,
Oh my goodness, kitty cat.
the pump station that he set up for a temporary alchemical setup for Darius, I know that there are multiple entry points to it. She kind of looks over towards Bickerstaff again. Perhaps it might be best if everyone were to hear this.
What?
Say, Bickerstaff won't wake up until it's been 8 hours.
Actually, Bickerstaff's long rest required 20 hours. He's older.
I'm gonna
God.
try and I'm gonna grab my shoe and throw it at Bickerstaff.
What? Okay. I'm awake. I'm up. Is there food?
It's food, Bickerstaff. Come sit. Dodger was about to explain this.
Come stand.
I'm already sitting, Phelan, but I'll move my chair.
He's got the only chair in the place.
Come stand, Bickerstaff. Please have a drink with us.
I think we're all out. You can
Alright.
chat.
I'm drinking invisible wine right now. That's how depressing my story was.
Yeah, Phelan drank us out of wine already.
To be fair, she bought all the wine too.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, Bickerstaff actually drank us out of wine.
Ah, yes, he did. He finished it off. But Bickerstaff, Dodger was about to tell us of the several entryways. Garrett, where did you? Oh, you're just so small. I didn't even see you standing over there. If you want to come over here, Yannick, yeah, you're sitting there. Zephyr's out of the kitchen. Okay, I think we're all here. Let's get a game plan, Dodger. We are relying on your information to finally avenge our loved ones and save your sister.
Right. So the last location that I was hiding out with Corbin Reed was one of these water something beneath the sewer. It was in control of the water flow of a portion of the city. It was through a series of tunnels and inner workings in the deeper parts of the vaults below. Part of the construct looked to date back as far as the Ankayesh stoneworks. Needless to say, it's very deep in the sewers, and it will be difficult to find. But I know that they had a loading dock present, and it looked as though the tunnels might suffice for wagon use. A small wagon, but about, and she kind of stretches her arms out, about 8 feet across the stonework. That's not important. But as I was starting to tell Phelan, there are a number of different entry points. There's the loading dock, which he's no doubt going to keep a set of eyes on at all times. I myself strung up a small alarm system on that door, as well as around the side, there's a larger red door, which he's managed to bait one of the city's Artyogs into feasting nearby. I don't know.
What's a city Artyog?
Trash compactor.
That's one of those creatures that popped out of the ground and attacked the big dwarf fella.
Oh,
Large beasts that are more mouth than anything else, with a series
Those
of tentacles.
terrifying. I don't want to go to that door. Someone else can cover that door.
They live in the trash compactors in certain large starships.
Mm-hmm.
Needless to say, it's doing quite a competent job of keeping the side door very much watched.
It would attack Corbin, though, wouldn't it? If he were to try and go by it?
To tell you the truth, I'm not sure. One of the items that Corbin walks with is from his older pirating days. It's a boarding pike that one of his old captains or shipmates or one of the crews that he overtook used to use, and it's capable of persuading the minds of all manner of creature, I suppose. I don't know the ins and outs of it specifically, but I know that he's able, at the very least, to work his way through the sewers with it, redirecting the flow of the smaller beasts and animals that would otherwise be occupying the location. And I only assume that that's what he used to lure the Artyog into place.
This is what you're talking about, and Bickerstaff's gonna like pull out the whistle that he has.
Don't
No, that looks to be a whistle.
If you're
A
trying to
boarding pike is about 10 feet long. It ends in a sharp point as well as a hooked tip.
Oh, thought you said pipe.
I thought you were about to whistle and call one of those monsters. I almost flipped out. Like, don't call a trash compactor monster, Bickerstaff. You leave that out of this. We're good.
I
We're good.
assumed this small thing would help with handling animals of some kind.
I assume you took that off the Strider Kennel Master then.
Yes, I found it on her.
Did you also grab her
Canine
spear?
persuasion.
I did not grab her spear. Did anyone grab her spear?
What was that, Ted?
I was saying the whistle is probably more of the canine persuasion.
If we looted that body before we left.
Yeah, but you only told me of... where did it go? I'd have to look back up there. But I did loot it before I threw it in the pack. I almost forgot to, but I remembered afterwards.
Phelan did loot the body, I remember that.
Phelan, she started to explain the properties of the red metal spear that the Kennel Master was armed with, about how it's a weapon that specific Strider warriors will wield into battle, and it's capable of draining the life from those it kills,
Ooh.
transferring that life into its wielder, and imbuing them with the stamina to keep fighting.
Ooh, I wish I could use a spear. Who could use a spear around here?
I can.
Bickerstaff, you and your weapons.
I'm far too short for that.
Actually, am proficient in. I know I've learned how to spear fight a long time ago. The short sword has me baffled, but I know how to use a spear.
Well, I did get this from her. If you have a whistle, I feel it appropriate. You have the matching spear to go with it. So, here you go. I give you this piece of paper that says Blood Spear on it with all the information you'll need.
That's weird that you just wrote down word for word what Dodger told you. But
I
when
know.
in Rome,
I'm very proficient. Or efficient. One of the words. I'm a mother now. I have to write everything down or I forget. Anyways,
Apparently, this whole being a mother thing is like really changed you.
weird, right?
It's like, who would have expected
I
that?
like how Bickerstaff's just collecting all the like melee weapons no one wants.
So I said, Biggerstaff, you and your weapons. You've gotten like all of the weapons.
Because no one else uses them.
I don't
Short
use
sword
it.
might be good for a rogue.
A spear? Oh, the short sword might be.
Yeah.
Except
Short
it
sword is
glows.
practically the same size as me.
And it glows.
I'm a halfling.
I
And
know.
It glows.
Just saying.
It could be as sneaky as you are. Be
It
like,
glows!
oh, is that a person over there?
glows.
No, it's just a sword. Oh, okay.
your elderly friend seems to be particularly enthralled by the glow of that blade.
I'm just saying, it's not going. If he's trying to be sneaky, that's the one downside.
Well, couldn't you just sheath it?
There, you can. You do. Yeah,
You just
yeah.
like crushed Bickerstaff's soul by saying that. Couldn't you just sheath it? Like, oh, okay then.
It's like, how wise are you?
Garrett, do you need a weapon? It doesn't do extra damage or anything, but I'm not very good with it. Side note, I'm not even sure he's proficient with it. Do rogues get short swords? I think they do.
You don't know.
Okay, so what were we
I
saying?
would think so. A short sword, yeah.
We said something about a whistle? A pipe? Pipes? Where were we, Dodger?
Well, the whistle would be a canine influence.
She was talking about how to get through the sewers, and I interrupted her. I apologize.
You're fine, Bickerstaff.
All right. Yeah, it might be best if I were to lead you there, as even attempting to draw a map would no doubt confuse you.
Oh, we would no doubt get lost.
But one of the men working with Reed fancies himself as one of the ancients. He's got a bit of a drab costume, and he's taking some sort of a substance that's darkening his eyes to make them look almost midnight black, calling himself a sin spawn after the goddess herself.
What does, I mean, is he like a magic user? Did he go to the academy?
To be honest, I don't know much about him whatsoever. But I do know that whenever Reed leaves the water pump locale and a few of the past hideouts that we've stayed in, he appoints this man in charge in his absence.
Dodger. The Inquisitor
Yes,
that
Todd?
was with you.
The
name is
Requisitors,
Johnny.
yes.
That Inquisitor that was with you, that spoke to you.
The Requisitor,
Yes, Xerxes.
yes.
What can you tell us about him?
I know that he's a Requisitor. I can only assume that Reed has something on him to make him work for him, or perhaps he's getting something from Reed.
Can I insight
to
check her
speak
to
to
see
you
if she knows
personally.
what she has?
Well, I have to call it a night, guys. I will catch y'all later.
Night, man.
Adios, Dan!
Have a good evening. Good to have you back.
As Garrett sits
Yeah.
in Bickerstaff's chair and falls asleep.
Yep. That's exactly what he does.
Is a Bickerstaff sitting in Bickerstaff's chair?
Kick
Thought
him
you
out.
got
He didn't even
He sits in your
realize
lap.
he snuck up onto your back again.
How does he do that?
The halfling goes to roost upon the giant's back.
8 for insight.
Phelan, still very hard to read. And Ted, what was that last thing you said?
He seemed to speak to you personally, like you had history.
As I assumed a brother-in-arms would speak to a fellow anticipating death. Afraid we weren't close, like yourselves. I'd only just met him a day or two ago.
What transpired in that day or two?
A whole lot of talk and specifics about the Longacre building. A number of layouts were drawn and specifics about who would be going where and when, who would be watching what doors, when to anticipate the guards, what to do in a variety of situations should they come to pass, as well as who specifically to target should, and she provides a list of various lieutenants and the like basically like if you recognize any of these higher ups, aim for them first, kind of a thing.
Do you speak the language him and the tiefling spoke?
I do not. Do you know what language it was?
Insight.
Go ahead.
Fuck. No.
You don't trust her.
Natural 4.
4. Very hard to read.
It's like she's been lying her whole life.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's. Never mind, metagaming.
I don't speak it, but I think I've heard it before. It sounded like the language of devils.
I just don't believe that. I don't believe he just disappeared or died. I think he was given a way out.
Well,
It's very possible that
it was your friend that freed that other prisoner.
He did grab his head in pain, though, and after that, did seem to do his own kind of spell to run away, so he might have just run away himself.
Truth be told, I can't even recall a story of a Requisitor fleeing a fight.
But he's not much of a Requisitor anymore, is he?
Very well then, old man. If you're more versed in their capabilities, perhaps your guard friend should be speaking with you.
If you are telling me he didn't run away, then maybe Phelan's friend did cast a spell on him. I am unsure.
It seems we're on the same page with that. I don't know what
I
happened.
suspect we shouldn't count him out, though.
No, I suspect we see him again.
If it wasn't your work and he did just leave me there, then I'd have no problem adding him to my list of people that I wouldn't mind seeing never again.
Oh, right.
Upon our
there.
task of taking out Reed, I think we help save your sister as best as we can.
Does your sister possess any special abilities? Like, is she magical or anything?
The last time I saw my sister was about 6 years ago. And from what best I can recall, she was not gifted with the arcane the way that some of you seem to be. If she has garnered any such capabilities since then, I'm afraid I know not.
Oh, well, they probably need her as a sacrifice then for whatever that gnome is going to do. So we should get going as soon as we're all rested and recharged. What time of day is it? It's like midday,
It's like late afternoon,
so it'll be
about like
dark.
3 or 4 o'clock.
We can attack at night. That could be a good time to attack. We're going through the sewers. We don't have to worry about the guards stopping us for curfew.
Would Yannick have time to go to the guard post to get equipment?
Which guard post?
To the Citadel, you wouldn't have time to
Yeah,
get
the one right
there,
around
but
the corner.
You wouldn't have time to go.
You'd
there.
have time to get to the Citadel and come back, but you wouldn't be able to finish a long rest.
Right.
Well, he only needs 4 hours for a long rest, since everyone else needs
That's
8
right.
in those extra 4 hours, could he?
He needs 4 hours of meditation and then 4 hours of light duty.
Yeah.
He still needs. That was clarified. He still needs 8 hours, but he only has to rest for 4, where the rest
So,
of us
like,
have
for
to
Light
rest
example,
duty
for 8.
would be
He could
Let's
take
say
2
flex
shift
shift.
watches.
Yeah, he can take 2 light duty watch shifts, basically.
I want to go get a health potion, damn it.
Yeah, those came in
Can I
handy.
do that?
That's
Oh, yes, we can. I'm going to rip my card and call the centaur.
which card?
Thank
are
you,
ripping?
God,
My
merchant.
centaur card.
All right. Phelan, as you produce the card of the traveler that you were last left with by the centaur individual,
I'm going to rip it in half.
you rip this tarot card in half. As all of a sudden, Phelan, in her excited movement, she flusters about, digging through a couple of things in her pouch, and produces this magnificent tarot card. And she just tears it right down the middle, ripping the centaur in half.
I'm gonna
Are you
stand
sure
look at
that's how
everyone.
that's supposed to work?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
You're the one that's the wizard, Phelan. I defer to you.
That's what he said. I'm sure of it. And we kind of look a little bit more uneasy now after it's been a minute.
There's a rapture at the door.
Yes. Get up and get it like it's Christmas.
Phelan, you rush over to the front door, throw it open! And that's where we're going to pick up next week.
Oh,
Ah,
Ah! You see Corbin Reed standing there. He murders you.
right.
get him.
I did not see that one coming. That's for sure.
It's Old Man Withers.
That's Old Man Withers.
Park.
Can you keep it down? I'm next door. You kids are yammering on at all hours of the night. And do something with these bodies in your front yard, or I'm going to contact the city.
Could you check?
No, city's here. Go away.
No, City's here.
Not the city janitorial duty. I mean the city guard.
Yeah, that's me.
Oh man.
Oh, man.
Got
That
a
was
lot of
a good episode.
information, guys.
Love-
I love asking questions.
Hey, and this was not for naught. We saved people.
We
Killed
did
dead
save
people.
people. We killed dead people.
I mean, we killed 2 guards.
Shh. That was
But we already
was
confessed
way
to that
before.
sin.
We're out of game. I can talk now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yannick's already lied about that crime to the chief arbiter herself.
No, he did.
I already
No,
confessed to that, so I'm good.
He plead the 5th.
Is that why you made the count 6 instead of 4?
Not 6 seconds in a round.
No. When he told Cassandra of 6 guards with the door.
No, that
No,
wasn't me.
that wasn't counting the armored guards, the ones that we
Yeah, but
killed.
you should have totally said 8.
Why would
Well,
I
now
lie to her?
And now that we're out of game, I could tell you it was only 4 guards with the lieutenant.
See? Totally 6. They were in on it.
There we go. I thought it was 6. You know what? You know what it is? It's the spider eyes. They multiply some things.
It's a little difficult to keep things straight.
Who cares if their family history is tarnished because they were involved in it? That's fine. It's fine.
All I can say Is that
I'm a
I
pirate.
think it's funny we almost left Cassandra without telling her of the red bearded guy, Lieutenant. I can never remember his name for some reason.
Totally cool. Good.
Lieutenant
Good memory
Redbeard.
on that.
Lieutenant Rastin.
Yeah, good memory on
Almost
that.
did tell her.
Totally almost left him like totally out in the open. Perfect memory.
So much happened. So much happened under there.
Just a couple of things.
Oh, man.
Garrett's back. I want to know what happens to Purple Mountain Man. Like, I want to figure out when his hearing is, and I want to go to it.
Well, it sounds like it's not going to be for a long time.
I felt bad about that. I thought I was getting him released in our custody, but no.
Not with your
Now-
cow.
Maybe with that new brooch you got, you can. You don't know what his powers
It's
are.
not a promotion. It's something else.
It was a participation medal.
Yeah, it's purple, obviously.
Purple
So it's like,
participation.
look, you guys want the Requisitors to come? If you guys don't obey me, that's my Miyoshi talking.
Have
Usually
a
showing.
Inquisitor emblem on it or anything? What does it look like?
It looks like almost like a military medal. It's got like a little bit of ribbon up at the top, and then the metal piece down at the bottom.
Good purple heart.
The metal piece itself looks to be a golden, almost like a cross.
Oh my god.
Alright.
Nice.
So I should totally be up for promotion by now. I'll level up, I get promotion.
Well, you are certainly free to bring that up to your superior officer.
Or the Queen.
Oh, I definitely will.
When we meet the Queen, you can be like, look, lady, I think I need a promotion. Just saying, look at this medal right here. Yeah. I'm pretty cool.
I'm not saying 4-star general, but, you know.
At
1 or
least
2.
5.
Yeah, that's fine.
I want to talk to Dodger more. I want her to trust me more.
Well, luckily you have a whole week to think up questions now.
How do you gain someone's trust in 8 hours? I need 100% trust in 8 hours.
You save her sister.
No, but I need to trust before that because there's more to
That's probably not gonna happen.
A hug. You need to hug her.
touched her hand and I fed her.
Oh, I got it. You need to have her cast friends on you, and you need to fail the save.
Yeah, that
Dodger,
worked.
will you cast friends on me?
Man, I think that worked. That worked really well. You trusted that tiefling right away.
And he saved our ass, so we're good.
Well, we all know Amanda just has a thing for tieflings.
I
Yeah.
thought that too, originally. I was like, oh, tieflings in
I mean,
there.
it's like
Great.
this guy was locked in like a high security prison, and you just like sprung him.
Oh
They're
yeah,
friends.
yeah. He was in there, past the prison,
Totally nice to
behind
me.
the door with no escape. It was 2 cells, him and the other 2.
I know.
Yeah, they were important.
But on Phelan's part, she failed to save. He was completely nice to her, and he saved her from the
Hey,
Inquisitor.
it's okay.
No.
When we meet that guy, when we're level like 18, like and you can bring that point up to him when he's trying to destroy the world.
Yeah, that way he'll only kill all your friends.
I'll
Exactly.
be like, oh, you're Phelan. You released me, and I'll be safe.
He's gonna be like, "Oh, you're a powerful necromancer. Hey, turn on your friends." And you're gonna be like, "Totally, fireballs!"
You know what the plot twist is going to be? He's going to be your husband. You thought he was dead. He was reincarnated as a tiefling.
Oh, God.
Plot
This
twist.
would be quite a plot twist. I don't know. Last time my sister was dead, she was still alive too. So we'll see if my husband stays dead in this campaign.
You're a necromancer. You can bring it back.
I mean, your husband died 16 years ago. Dodger looks to be about 16 years old. Wait a minute.
She has white hair.
Reincarnate?
They're obviously the same
So
person.
possible.
Dodger, why don't you trust me? You're my husband.
Oh my god. If you say that in character, I would laugh so hard. Like, oh my god, it just hit me. Sweetheart,
Oh.
where have you been?
I miss you so much. We have to go buy your ring from that pawn shop. Please, let's go right now. I just have to find that
Oh,
pawn shop.
man.
Reincarnation carry memories, does it?
You don't know.
Have you ever been reincarnated?
Of course.
We
I was
had a
a
chance of
grasshopper last week.
reincarnating someone, but no. We had to bury him.
Who did we bury?
Cognar.
Cognar? Yeah. Okay, well, you know what? We thought about throwing him in the forge, so.
He would have been happy with that.
Oh,
But you said that's too good for him.
Too good for him. You caused us too much trouble, so you get in the dirt, pal.
Just found some pit and just kind of kicked him into it.
I just feel so sad for Cognar. He was literally like 50 feet away from his entire life's purpose, and he died. It just makes me want to cry. He was
You're
my
telling
friend.
me. I had stat blocks to make a PC Azer character for him, all set and ready to go.
Damn.
Yep.
He would have become an Azer?
Yeah, one of those bronze dwarves that are made of fire. Yeah.
What? Would he like attack us, or would he be a good Azer?
You don't
You
know.
wouldn't know.
You probably would have just murder hoboed him on sight. Like, that's another one!
I don't know. I mean, I probably just would have riled him behind me like I did the other Azers.
That's true. Oh,